Edward VIII is the first English king to voluntarily leave the throne after less than a year in power. After the British government, the general populace, and the Church of England denounced his choice to wed the American divorcee Wallis Warfield Simpson, Charles made the decision to abdicate. I have found it difficult to carry on the enormous burden of responsibility and to execute the duties of king as I would desire to do, he said in a radio speech on December 11, 1936 evening. The Duke of York, his younger sibling, was crowned King George VI on December 12, 1936. King George V, who succeeded his father as the British monarch in 1910, had an eldest son named Edward, who was born in 1894. As he neared his 40th birthday, he was still single, and kept up with the trendy London culture of the time. By 1934, he had developed a strong romantic attachment to English-American businessman Ernest Simpson's wife, American socialite Wallis Warfield Simpson, who resided with Mrs. Simpson close to London. Pennsylvania-born Wallis had previously wed and divorced a U.S. Navy pilot. The prince was determined to wed Mrs. Simpson by 1936 despite the royal family's disapproval of his married mistress. Before he could tell his father about this plan, George V passed away in January 1936, making Edward the next king. As a result of the new king's popularity among his subjects, his coronation was planned for May 1937. The affair between him and Mrs. Simpson was revealed in American and continental European publications, but it was not revealed in British newspapers as a result of a gentleman's agreement between the British press and the government. Mrs. Simpson received a preliminary divorce decree on October 27, 1936, likely with the intention of marrying the monarch, which led to a significant scandal. A twice-divorced American lady was unsuitable for the position of British Queen, according to the Church of England and the majority of British parliamentarians. Only renowned politician Winston Churchill, who was a conservative backbencher at the time, backed Edward. Despite what appeared to be a united front against him, Edward was unmoved. On December 2nd, Prime Minister Stanley Baldwin rejected his proposal for a morganatic marriage, in which Wallis would not be given any rights to rank or property. The incident was publicly debated in Parliament the next day and first appeared on the front pages of British publications. On December 10th, the monarch abdicated the throne, since there was no hope of a solution. Edward VIII's reign came to an end when Parliament approved the deed of abdication the following day. George VI, the new king, created the Duke of Windsor out of his elder brother. The Duke of Windsor and Wallis Warfield exchanged vows at the Château de Cande in the Loire Valley of France on June 3, 1937. The Duke and Duchess stayed in France for the most of the following 2 years, although they also traveled to other nations in Europe, notably Germany, where the Duke was recognized by Nazi authorities in October 1937 and had a meeting with Adolf Hitler. The Duke accepted a position as a liaison officer with the French during the start of World War II. When the Nazis overran France, in June 1940, Edward and Wallis fled to Spain. In order to restore Edward to the British throne as a puppet monarch, the Nazis devised a plan to kidnap him during this time. George VI, like Winston Churchill, his prime minister, vehemently opposed making peace with Nazi Germany. Edward was hastily given the position of Governor of the Bahamas in the West Indies by Churchill, who was unaware of the Nazi kidnapping scheme, but known of Edward's prior Nazi sympathies. On August 1, 1940, the Duke and Duchess departed from Lisbon after narrowly escaping a Nazi SS force sent to capture them. That's a short historical story of King Edward VIII. He also has wise quotes. Here are quotes from King Edward VIII. I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as king as I would wish to do, without the help and support of the woman I love. Of course, I do have a slight advantage over the rest of you. It helps in a pinch to be able to remind your bride that you gave up a throne for her. The thing that impresses me most about America is the way parents obey their children. You all know the reasons which have impelled me to renounce the throne, but I want you to understand that in making up my mind, I did not forget the country or the empire, which, as Prince of Wales and lately as King, I have for 25 years tried to serve. Perhaps one of the only positive pieces of advice that I was ever given was that supplied by an old courtier who observed, "Only two rules really count. Never miss an opportunity to relieve yourself. Never miss a chance to sit down and rest your feet." A boy is holding a girl, so very tight in his arms tonight. When you're bored with yourself, marry and be bored with someone else. I wanted to be an up-to-date king, but I didn't have much time. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.